My name is Barbara Neilan, Barbara Neilan.
Time to time you'll see me. Just don't, if I move over, don't move with me.
Okay, I'll just right there.
Where do you live, and have you always lived here?
I actually live in Missoula, Montana. I have not always lived here, but I'm a Montana native and proud to be. I was born in Billings, Montana, and when I was 5, we moved to Bozeman, Montana, where I was raised until I came to school at the University of Montana here in Missoula.
What would you miss most if you had to leave Montana and Missoula tomorrow?
Oh, what would I miss most about leaving Montana or Missoula? Number one, the people. This state is full of the most incredible people I think I've ever met, who are kind and compassionate and truly care about each other. The beauty of the state, the ability to be able to get out my back door and literally be in the mountains. I don't have to drive hours to get someplace and to enjoy it and be out in nature. The creativity in Missoula and the people who live here. It's a liberal arts community and kind of the liberal bastion of Montana. And so this community is dear to my heart. I've traveled a lot, and there's no place I'd really want to call home other than Missoula. I love coming back here. It's kind of my heart place.
So, for those who've never been to Montana, what would you like them to know about Montana?
That we have electricity. I mean, it's really kind of funny. People who don't know Montana very well have, a lot of them still have the idea that, we've got the stagecoaches and it's the hard knock life here. We have everything that everybody else has, but we just have the beauty of nature around us. It's advanced. It's someplace that you can be anything that you want to be if you choose to be. You can create your life here.
So, how do you, what's your job, what's your livelihood, how do you earn your livelihood?
Well, I'm the director of Destination Missoula and the Missoula Tourism Business Improvement District. And what those two organizations do, they're nonprofits, but what they do is our job is to bring visitors into Missoula. And that's whether they're, leisure travelers or they are conferences or events and event planners. That's our job, is to tell the world about this place and to invite them here and to take care of them while they're here.
So in 2 words or less, what are 2 words? How would you describe the year 2020? And then why did you choose those words?
Oh, how would I describe 2020? 2 words I think would be hard and enlightening.
Why would you choose those?
I think I would choose those words because for me personally and for the people that I'm around, for anybody who's going through this, this has been a really difficult time for people. I think one of the hardest parts of it is the isolation that it creates for us in order to stay safe. We as human beings, that's not how we function. We're social beings, and I think that it's very difficult for us to feel complete living through Zoom and not being able to be around the people that we love. So from that standpoint, it's been very hard. For me personally, I'm single and I live by myself, and I have been working at home since about March. And even though I'm very technologically savvy and able to do some things, I mean, it just is, there's a lot of isolation. So it gives you a lot of time by yourself. And I think that's where the enlightenment part comes in. I think that we are seen as individuals, if we're taking the time, because we have had to slow down from our very busy lives. I think it's bringing to the forefront for a lot of us maybe some hard issues and things that we haven't taken the time really to look at before. And you're either going to deal with those or you're going to stuff them back down. For me, I've tried to deal with as many of those as I can. And so you go back kind of into the hard. You know, those things are not easy to deal with, but they're important. And I think you're seeing that reflected in our country right now and what's happening across our country right now. I think America is waking up and becoming what we profess to be, is my hope. I think that it's square in our face and we can't avoid it anymore.
So how did your daily life, describe the moment COVID-19 became real to you, and what were the emotions you were feeling at that moment?
The moment that COVID became real to me, there are probably two moments if I can do that. The first one was when I actually moved my whole staff out of the offices and home. And we knew that we weren't going back to the offices, that we had to find a way to communicate and to do this job remotely. The second time was when it became very personal, and dear friends of ours came down with COVID, and my daughter had been exposed, and she was living with me at the time. And so the two of us then had to go into total quarantine, which we already were anyway, but it was different. You know, you start taking your temperature every day, and you start all of a sudden normal things that happen, like you wake up and you have a headache, all of a sudden have that impact of, oh wow, maybe it's something more than that. And I think then it became really, really personal.
How did your daily life change at first?
It went from being very, very active and involved in lots of meetings and going places and involved in our community on so many different levels, right? And being active, outdoors and being out, to being very closed in with just me and my animals. And luckily I live in a beautiful spot that's right by the river, that's, got a huge backyard. I've got like 2 acres. So it's not like I was in a tiny apartment, but I was isolated and I was alone. And the meetings all became Zoom meetings. And what actually ended up happening was I have been much busier, and my days have been much longer since this started than even before that. It's just in a different way and handling different issues than what I would normally handle.
Have you had new habits or routines kind of emerge because of the pandemic?
Well, any new habits that I have are probably ones that I should have had to begin with. Some of them, I've done on purpose because I wanted to kind of keep some normalcy. I was afraid that being, you always hear about people with their pajamas on in the Zoom meetings. I didn't want that to happen. I wanted to have some normalcy between my workday and my home life. And so, get up every morning, act like I'm going to work. I put on the clothes that I would put on as if I was going to work. I put on makeup, I do my hair, I do all of those things. I go downstairs, make my coffee, do all those things. And then I have an office that is actually an office. So it's one room where I'm not spread out with my work all over. And I keep it there. The hours have been long, but it stays there. I don't carry it around the house with me and doing different things on purpose.
So you mentioned you have a team. How many people work for you on your team, and what's it been like? What have you done to help them through this?
So it's been a really interesting time for our team. I have 7 people, full-time people who work for me in different positions, all the way from the Visitor Information Center to my sales team, my director of operations, and those kinds of things. And as I said earlier, with COVID, we moved remotely. So the first challenge was really finding a way to be able to support them and make them feel like they still had the avenue and my ear for the things that they needed all of the time. We, as a team, decided to do some fun social things, like I think almost everybody has, just to be able to have time where we're not talking about work. So we would do, Wednesday mornings, we would have coffee together. And, there were times where I would have treats delivered to everybody's house. Or Friday afternoon, sometimes we would do happy hours and we would have a glass of wine together and just laugh and chat and just be people like we normally are. I think the hardest part for me was as a part of this, because we had to reduce our budgets by so much, because we exist because of our accommodations tax. That's how our organization is funded. And so when you have no one coming in, you have no idea what your income is going to be down the road. So we cut our budgets as much as we could in anticipation of what could be coming, and kind of went to worst case scenarios. And in doing that, we made the really hard decision to furlough 3 of the staff. It helped us to save some money up front. The only reason that we did it is because we knew that in furloughing them, they were still job connected to us, and that they, with what the government was offering, and the extra $600, would be making as much as they were making with us. And then we could keep them on our insurance. Those things were vital to me.
So we're about 120 days into this. What's your daily life like now?
My daily life is fairly much like I described it earlier. I get up, I do my routines, I work. I try and get out in nature as much as I can, just for that break, because I think the stress relief is important. As things were damping down here in Montana, then we started moving around a little bit more. Things opened up in phase 2, so the restaurants were open, the bars were open, things like that. I don't do a lot of that. I will go once in a while and meet somebody on a patio to have lunch or dinner or something. Most of it, if I'm interacting with people, is outdoors. Once in a while, I go into the office when I have to sign checks and do those kinds of things. But that's kind of the routine on a daily basis.
So, what's been the biggest challenge for you throughout the pandemic?
Well, I think the biggest challenge, especially professionally, on a professional level for me, has been we needed to immediately stop what we normally do, right? So our job was to invite people to come to Montana. And, we had a quarantine, and basically our borders were fairly much closed. And so our job was to get out in front of everybody that we were normally inviting. I mean, we have a website that has over 1 million visitors a year into it, and letting them know that we love them dearly and we love that they love Missoula, but now was not the time to come and to plan down the road and to share their memories of Missoula with us. So that was that half. The other half was we completely had to pivot and really look at what can we do for our community. How can we as an organization help our community? And we realized that we could become a resource for people, for all of the information that was coming out, for businesses, the businesses that are partners of ours, and others that, all of these different grant funds and where they're coming from and what's happening. And so much information was changing so fast that we became that source. We also realized that because we are such a creative community, and we have so many musicians and artists and people who that's their livelihood, is being out and having people see what they do, they started pivoting to virtual events. And so we started making sure that those virtual events were going out to our community, and that they could take part of them, that they could help tip these people, they could help these people still make a living. The same thing like with our restaurants, when they were still closed, but some of them were doing delivery and that kind of thing, and pickup. We tried to make people aware this is how you can help keep your community strong and still do it responsibly keep yourself safe, your neighbors safe, but still keep our community going for as long as we need to do this. So it was a complete change for us. There's been some really good sides to that.
Have you ever, how does this challenge compare to any other challenge you've had to face in your life?
I think that this challenge actually has been one of the hardest that I've faced, other than, the death of my parents. I mean, that was a very emotional, very hard time in my life. But I think that the isolation in this, the need to completely think in a different way, and how to lead an organization and make sure that I am taking care of the people who trust me, who we employ, and making sure that they're all right, and that we're doing the best for them that we possibly can do, I think has been the hard part of it.
How do you think your daily life will feel like in 2 years from now?
I think I'm hoping that we will be back a little bit more to what we consider normal. I don't think that we will I think there's going to be a lot of changes that this is going to bring around in how we as a society function. And I think some of those are very good. I think you're going to see changes in architecture. I think you're going to see changes in people working remotely and being able to do that and live where they want to. For me, I think that, I'm 67 years old, and I will, be looking probably at retirement soon after that. And so I think that my life will be more about, I'm hoping, travel. I'm hoping that it's going to be open enough to really be able to travel again, and then just enjoying here, and being with the people that I love.
So, in the challenges you see in your work and in your community, what excites you about solving them?
That's just kind of part of my personality. I'm one of those people that I like to think big. As a matter of fact, my staff has to sometimes just pull me back down and go, yeah, that's really nice, but here's reality. And so I think that there's large parts of this that they really feed who I am as a person. And I think one of the greatest things on a professional level that's come out of this is our community pulled together immediately, which it always does. That's just the way this community functions. And we started having leadership team meetings with the city, the county, our economic development, our nonprofits, our businesses, almost immediately, the university. And out of those have come a major campaign that we just unveiled, which was a safety campaign that we were so proud of being able to put together, and it came out right at the same time that our county health department required masks again, right? And I'm very proud of them for doing that, because they're only the second county in Montana to have done that. We're very proactive here, and we care about each other. And so to be able to unveil this program for our community, which we normally are working outside of our community, and to do it with everybody else is really a proud moment for me. I mean, it was like a $50,000 campaign that we've put together over the next couple months. So I think that one's been a big one.
About a month and a half ago or so, we saw the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement again to the forefront. What was your reaction to the George Floyd incident? And then how would you characterize how the Missoula community has responded to that issue? Pure
disgust was my first. I was so saddened, and I was so sick that something like the George Floyd incident could happen in our country at this point in our time. I was abhorred by it. Missoula responded almost immediately, as it always does. we're very vocal in standing up for people's rights and for trying to help the populations that need help. Our community is very strong in that and really believes in it. We had protests up at the courthouse. We've had them all over town, and I think that people, it isn't just for show here. People live it. They believe it. You know, for us, our indigenous peoples are probably the largest community of color that we have here, but we also have a large immigrant society here, because we've always believed in the importance of people being welcomed and having a home and not living in fear, and I'm really proud of that for Missoula.
We're getting all kinds of nature. This makes a Missoula commercial.
That's right. That's right. Everybody's got a dog.
We have birds mating. All right, you closed that one pretty well. All right, so these are kind of the open-ended parts of what I have.
Okay.
It's a chance for you to fill in whatever you need to. Before we go back to what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So, can you talk about a little bit more about how the George Floyd incident has really raised not only the issue of blacks, but you talk about the indigenous populations here.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain a little bit more about how you see that? How has that come to fore?
Well, you know, Montana we have 7 different tribes across the state. These grounds that we are on right now were extremely important travel areas and camping areas for our Salish, Kootenai, Pend Oreille tribes in Blackfeet in this part of the state. And so there really isn't, even though you may not be on a reservation someplace, there isn't much of Montana that really was not indigenous land. And the situation for the tribes across the state, I think, varies a lot depending on what part of the state you are in. You know, the Salish Kootenai are very technologically advanced, and they build and work with NASA. They build parts and do different things for NASA. But all of our tribes are extremely proud of their heritage, and you're starting to really see the influence of that come out in our communities. The university built the Payne Native American Center, which is an incredible building for the classes that they teach. And we're actually doing a big mural project right downtown in Missoula that is going to be all Native artists. It's going to have 7 massive panels to it, and it's all going to be Native artists who are doing it. I just think that the people here try to embrace everyone as much as they can. And I'm not Pollyanna. I can't say that we don't have some people who feel differently. But I think the majority of the people all care about each other, and it really, it's part of why we live here.
So, what 1 to 2 words describe how you feel about the next 5 years?
1 to 2 words that describe how I feel about the next 5 years. I feel very hopeful, especially for our country. You know, I believe that we will find a way through what we are in right now. This isn't going to last forever. I believe that the American people will be better coming out of this. I really do. I think that we will deal with some of the demons that we need to deal with as a society, and we will be better because of it. We'll be better.
So, is there a question or a topic that I haven't asked or brought up that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, wow.
A talking point that you might want to hit?
You know, I think the thing that is most important to me is what has happened to our small businesses, and especially in the hospitality industry, which is our industry. And I watch what's happened to the hoteliers and the restaurants and bars and all of the people who are a part of this industry, the hospitality industry. And I think the people who don't get enough credit are all of the people who are behind the scenes. It's all of the workers who are, our servers, or are people who are still cleaning rooms and making beds and making sure that if you have to stay in a hotel, that it is a beautiful experience and that you are safe. I would like to see those people get more credit than what they do. And I would like to make sure that our government does what it needs to do to help these businesses survive. Even with our hotels, they may be what we consider chains, like Marriott's and those kinds of things, and people look at that as a big corporation. But the truth of the matter is that most of them are franchises and they're owned by local people, right? So they're no different, and they need the support just the same. I think that's one of the underlying things that I think I would like to see brought to the forefront a little bit more.
So this is going to be put out on the internet. We're going to watch it. We don't know when they're going to watch it. We don't know where they're going to watch it. We don't know how they're going to watch it. We know they're going to be sitting there watching. Somebody right now is listening to you, watching you, seeing you. So it's kind of like a time capsule.
Mm-hmm.
What message would you put in to the world, out to the world? What message would you like the person who's listening to this right now to hear from you?
I think the message that I would like people to hear is that we can do this, right? But everybody needs to take personal responsibility to make it happen. And it's not hard. It isn't difficult to do. And if we would all do it, we will be through this faster, stronger, and we will be back on our feet in a much better way than we were before.
So, just people who are never been to Montana, and what you have a million people come to your website. What do people come to Montana to do? What are the things that you could do here?
Well, I think the reasons that the number one reason that people come to Montana obviously is our recreation and the beauty of the state. We've got two incredible national parks that are completely different. So you've got Yellowstone National Park and you've got Glacier National Park, and the experience in both of them is just breathtaking. I mean, it truly is breathtaking. And I think that all of the rivers that we have, all of the mountains to hike, just the opportunities to be able to be out in a way that most people never have the opportunity to be, and to experience things that they've never been around, right? And then as far as Missoula goes, I think what sets Missoula off from the rest of Montana, we've got paramount recreation of all sorts, but we also have the arts and culture and entertainment community that you expect in a large city. It's really kind of mind-blowing. The music that comes through here is incredible. I mean, we've had the Stones play here. We've had Paul McCartney play here. We've got summer concert series in both of our amphitheaters that blow your socks off. Some of the best in the Northwest. And so I think that you can go out, and have that incredible experience during the day, and then come back and you can eat in fabulous restaurants. You can go to, amazing music venues. You can just have kind of that comfort level that you want to have and still go out and experience the rest of it.
I don't think if there's anything else I've not asked you that I wanted to ask you. Done a great job on this. Is there any final thoughts or anything that you wanted to hit? Any plug, a commercial that you want to do, like a 5 second, 10, 15-second commercial for where could people go find more about what you
Yes,
do?
absolutely. If you want to know more about Missoula, and we would love you to do that, you can go to our website, which is a beautiful website that is full of information. It's Destination Missoula, MISSOULA.org. And we have a team, we have live chat on it. We also have a call center that you can call up and you can talk to a live person, and they will tell you anything and everything to do here. It's a great resource.
Awesome. Thank you.